Guys, and welcome to my channel. I'm Kristen, and today we're going to be doing a fun little May recap of some of my favorite thrifted DIYs this year. For this first DIY, I'm going to be using this Savannah Mist color. This is by Dixie Belle, and I just really love this color. It is a light blue, and I love that it is a mineral chalk paint, so you really don't need a ton of coats when it comes to painting with this paint. So this is just like one coat, and it is pretty much already ready to go. It did need a second one, so this is what it looks like when it is dry. And then of course we did add a second coat. I love this stone textured spray paint. You can use a little, you can use a lot, just depending on what you want it to look like, but it does look like real stone. And I love that you can like underlay any sort of color you want with this. I've used black and I think it looks really pretty, but this blue, I have to say this is one of my favorites thus far. And it only took a couple hours for everything to dry, and you have a new pretty piece for your home. This next one is one of my favorites. I picked this tray up for $2 at a yard sale, and I'm just going to be sanding this down. I just really love this. This is actually sitting in the middle of our dining room table as I speak. It is just one of my favorite things that I have made. I think it just looks really high end, and just to sand that paper off the top, I did end up going back in with some white paint and just painting this entire thing. It's completely like up to you what you want to do. It was actually a really great tray to begin with, and sometimes you can find some thrifted items that you don't have to make over, but honestly, like that's really what I like doing with thrifted DIYs and yard sale is making them over. So this was a great piece to start with, but I think it's a better piece now. I'm using a Chocateur silkscreen transfer. I love this one. I love that they actually have some more farmhouse decor pieces like silkscreen transfers to choose from. I guess it's not decor, but I love that they have more farmhouse to choose from because obviously that's really what I like. It's how I decorate my home. So I love when they come out with new items that I will actually use and keep. And this one you can use multiple times. You can see that I have already used it. I use it on a different tray, but if you just want one of the animals on here, you don't have to do the entire transfer. There's just so many different options that you can actually do with this. I'm using the velvet chalk paste. This is also by Chocateur, and if you do want to check out Chocateur, they have like all kinds of brand new transfers right now. So you guys are from Texas and you love Texas just as much as I love Michigan and have to have all the Michigan things, you will love Chocateur right now. There's so many Texas transfers on there right now. My favorite part about using Chocateur is the reveal of pulling the transfer off and seeing your end piece. And I just love, this is just, it has to be everyone's favorite part, really, like seeing what it looks like when it is completely done. And all I had to do was paint the bottom, sand it down, and put a silkscreen transfer over the top, and it's good to go. It's like a brand new tray. For the next DIY, of course, I had to use some white chalk paint. Now, this is a recipe holder. This could be a napkin holder. It could be really anything that you want it to be. Mine is just going to be a decor piece, but I think it was normally a recipe, and I don't know. I thought it was a napkin holder, but it's probably not. Maybe it'd fit smaller napkins. Regardless, a couple coats of this white Waverly chalk paint. I decided to grab some sandpaper and just kind of sand down and roughen up the edges just to make it a little bit distressed. It's just how I like my decor. If you don't like this, obviously skip that part. This is strictly here for inspiration. So if you like the way this looks, this is how to do it. If you don't like it, then you definitely don't have to do that. This is a silkscreen transfer from Michaels. I've had this for a couple years and it is still good to go. I found them for like $5, and I always try to post any deals I find like on my community tab. It's right on my YouTube page, and there's like a bunch of tabs. So where you see videos, you can kind of click over to shorts, you can click over to the community tab or like your home page. It's right on the front of my channel. So if you don't know where that is, hopefully you can find the community tab. But anyways, I always like to share deals on there. Once that was done, I just threw in some greenery, and that was it for this. I am obsessed with this one. This one is on my hutch, and I think it is forever going to stay. For this next DIY, if you have a ton of signs laying around or you find them at yard sales, I think this one is definitely for you. I always find signs or pick them up for super cheap, and that tag, it says $5.29. I will tell you what, I did not pay $5.29 for a tiny little sign that I was just going to peel some vinyl off. But I mean, this was a pretty easy one. I think I paid $1.49 for it, which is a little on the pricey side, but for a blank, I think it's a pretty good deal, and it is a larger size than Dollar Tree. So I'm using some black chalk paint to paint this, and if you don't want to redo this into a sign, you can always redo these into trays, which that's like the best part about finding frames or long pieces like this, is that you can turn them into absolutely anything. I decided to go with the tray, so I had some handles left over. I think these were from our kitchen or one of our bathrooms, and I save everything just for crafts, and glued them to there, and look at that. You have a tray instead of a sign. I paid $2 for this, maybe even $1 from a yard sale. I taped off the edges, and I'm going to be painting Waverly chalk paint in white, of course. It does need a couple coats, so I always grab a hair dryer on. Hair dryer's always on hand, and I like to hair dry it or blow dry it. It's not hair, so I'm not hair drying it. Just to make the process go quicker. Silkscreen transfer, once again, I really like using Chalk Couture, any kind of silkscreen transfer for thrifted items. I think it looks high end. You get the decor piece that you want, and you can use these over and over again. So I always try to figure out the price of things. So if this transfer is $20, how many times am I going to use it? Could I make my money back? Could I sell my item? So that's the way I justify paying a little bit more for transfers. And plus, I absolutely love using them. And this one is so cute. I'm going to be using this one more than one time. But this is what this $2 sign looks like. I think it is awesome. For this, I love finding jars or glass at yard sales. These were only 25 cents a piece. I'm going to be redoing both of them in this video. So if you guys have already seen these videos, they are in a bunch of different ones. So I have like a glass hack video. I have thrifted DIYs. I have farmhouse thrift DIYs, yard sale makeovers, all the things. And sometimes I even add Dollar Tree and Dollar General items into my thrifted items. So it's just a little bit of everything into one. So it's not specifically just I'm only using thrifted items, which I guess it always makes it awesome seeing what everyone comes up with when it comes to thrifted, because you could use absolutely anything you wanted. This silkscreen transfer is actually from Amazon. They have a ton of Farmhouse. So if you love the Farmhouse theme like I do, check that place out. They have some pretty inexpensive transfers. Some of them I have noticed do not work as long, but they're still a great price if you use them once or twice. So I liked this one. I thought this would work perfect on here. And then I decided to leave it as is. I've been doing a ton of cow spots on items, and I figured I needed a little rest and a break from that. So I'm just adding this bow to the top and then throwing some greenery in here, and that is it for this one. The second one, I decided to go ahead and use that Savannah Mist color that is by Dixie Belle. I did that with the first picture that I really liked, and then once this was completely dry, 2 coats of course. I did want to do like the top. I do a little bit of the insides just in case you can see it, but really like the inside is blank, the top's blank. I don't always paint everything. Rub-on transfers are my next favorite thing, right next to silkscreen transfers. So it might seem repetitive, but there's just so many ways and ideas and things you can do with rub-on transfers and silkscreen transfers. I feel like that I always want to show, because you can use it on glass, you can use it on any type of sign, you can use it over paint. There's just so many different things that you can do with them, and I don't think that some people just like don't think outside of the box, or maybe I'm not thinking outside of the box. I'm not really sure. Added some twine to this, throw in some greenery on here, and good to go. You have like, this is like so cute. I am going to be having this out at least all summer long. I don't think it will work for like Christmas and fall decor, but it is adorable. Most simple way to redo an item is this right here. $3 for this sign at Dollar General. Cut off this string, and then I am just grabbing some hot glue and gluing this right to the side of this basket or box or this little wine cork holder or wine holder, and it covered up perfectly. I didn't paint this. I didn't do anything except grab a sign and add it to the top, and I just love this one. This is hands down one of my favorites. Obviously, this is kind of a recap / favorites video. So if I say that this is my favorite, actually all of these in this video are my favorite that I have done in a while. This one is another obviously favorite. This one came from Goodwill, and so did the other one. And these were, I want to say $2.49 or $1.49. Obviously, someone donated all of their wine items because I always seem to have a ton of those. Those or wedding decor. Those seem to be like the top 2 items that I can find at yard sales or Goodwill. Like, people are not going to keep their wedding decor. People eventually grow out of the wine stage. I had wine items decorated in my kitchen. I didn't drink it, but I had like wine to decorate with, and I had like wine decor when obviously this was like 14 years ago, which I don't know why I did that, but it seemed cool at the moment. This is another silkscreen transfer from Chalk Couture. This was from their Club Couture. They still have that, or you can be like a Perks member and you can get discounts on the transfers. And I will link all that in the description box for you guys if you want to check that out. But this is just an older Chalk or Club Couture transfer, but it was one of my favorites, obviously, because it was a Farmhouse transfer. And then, like I said before, you don't have to use that entire transfer, just use what you want. So you can see that this transfer doesn't fit perfectly on the item that I am using, but I don't have to use every part of that transfer. This is what it looks like when it is done, and you could never tell that this was for wine corks. You would have never known. This one I found at Goodwill. I was like finding some really cool items at Goodwill one day. It is like this Goodwill outlet store that I go to. So things are cheaper of a price than what you would pay from actual Goodwill. But I liked this. I took the eye hooks out because I am not going to be hanging anything from this. But like I said, like with thrifting decor, you can do whatever you please, whatever you wish when it comes to this stuff. So if you wanted to keep those in, you found something similar, you could hang whatever you choose, but I just chose not to hang anything. I used wood filler to fill in the holes and some Waverly chalk paint to paint this. Now the inside was glass, so I wasn't sure what it was going to look like when I was completely done, but it ended up all looking the exact same because I just wasn't sure on like the glare if the paint was going to come off, because sometimes when I do a couple coats of paint on glass, it kind of eventually starts to rub off in certain spots, but this one it didn't, and I was thankful that it didn't because I wanted to go ahead and use a silkscreen transfer for this, obviously a Chalk Couture transfer, and of course we had to distress this before that. So this one worked perfect. I think it's like the paint on wood that always makes the distressing look like extra better for whatever reason. Extra better, extra great, extra awesome. And then I just did this all over. So you can just choose to do this. You don't have to do this. You can do this more. You can do this less. I just like the more. I just think it looks great. This is my decor. This is what I like to decorate with. So I think it looks great. So once that was all done, I went ahead and used a silkscreen transfer. Now, normally on items, I would just go ahead and use black chalk paint, white chalk paint. Like I will tell you, Chalk Couture has a ton of different colors of chalk paste. It's not just black and white. That's just usually what I prefer. This is the Robin's Egg color. I'm not sure if they have this one, but I really like this color. I also love the color Eucalyptus. It is one of my favorites, especially when I do farmhouse decor. And of course, once this was done, the reveal of pulling this off is just, it makes it just extra better. And that was all I did for this one. So I kind of took it easy on the edges, making sure it didn't kind of bleed through. And then once that was done, definitely wash these as soon as you are finished, or you won't be able to use them again. The paint will stick, it won't work, but I am obsessed with the way this one turned out. obviously got super lucky in May and I found just a ton of really cool farmhouse decor that I could redo. This was also from the Goodwill outlet, $1.49, $1.39, inexpensive. Painting this entire thing with the Waverly chalk paint in white. I decided to go ahead and use my Cricut. So if you have a Cricut, you don't like chalk couture, you don't like rub-on transfers, use your Cricut, use stickers, use whatever you can find on hand that will work for you. I don't use my Cricut enough, and sometimes I use it way more than what I should or what I feel like is necessary. And then other times I'm like, I haven't used my Cricut in months. It's crazy the way that works. And then I decided to add some cow spots to this, and you can do cow spots. Like, you really can't mess these up because cow spots are not perfect first off, but I just kind of make like little squiggle lines and then like make circles and like fill them in, and that works for me. I don't really have a way of doing this, just kind of whatever I think looks good. I love finding brand new items at the thrift store, and this was one of them. This was regular $10 from Big Lots, and I really liked it. I liked the way it kind of looked like a tobacco basket. I thought it was really cute, so I just went ahead and painted the middle because, I mean, as much as I think like lake house stuff is super cute, like we don't live near a lake. I mean, kind of, we live near a lake, like an hour and a half away, but that's just not going to work for my house. Home is where our story begins. I love this transfer. This is also from Chalk Couture. Now, keep in mind, if you do check out the Chalk Couture site, I do use a lot of older transfers as well. So they may be there, they may not be there. Sometimes the transfers get retired, and then sometimes the retired ones actually come back down the road. So you just never know about them. But this is what it looks like when it's done. And it took like a couple of minutes to put together, which hands down are my favorite things to make, is really, really easy thrifted decor. Last video I did, nobody really knew what this was. It really looks homemade, so it could have been possibly anything. Like, this could have been a mailbox, a ballot box, something for the library. There was just so many different things that people said that this could possibly be, but realistically it looks homemade. Someone said it could be something from a church. There's just so many different things that it could have been or may have been. Honestly, nobody will ever actually know where this was or what it was for. But anyways, I decided to go ahead and paint this with the white chalk paint. Of course, white and black are my favorite paints to use, and usually you will see plenty of white in my videos. I really try to use different colors every now and then, so I'll get like a light blue out, maybe a pink, and I just go back to white and black because I know down the road I'm not going to be having all of that pink in my house or the blue, which I will take that back. That Savannah Mist blue color by Dixie Belle is hands down like one of my favorite colors. It looks great. Of course, I had to go ahead and distress this little guy, and I did not paint the inside because that was some rough wood on the bottom, so I didn't even try that. I didn't want to ruin my paintbrushes. I didn't want the paint to look weird on it, so I just opted out. These rub-on transfers are from Amazon. They are from the Redesign by Prima line, and I think I have said that you can get them off of their website or Amazon or Etsy, but I think Amazon is actually the cheaper route to go. So if you are looking for some farmhouse rub-on transfers, definitely check on Amazon. I'm just peeling this off, and that is all I did for this. So a lot of the items I do not seal in my videos. If I'm going to keep them, I will eventually seal them. If I'm just going to donate them, I probably won't. So a lot of people will ask that question, and it just depends on if I'm going to keep the item or not. So if I'm not going to keep it, I'm not going to seal it. If I am, I will just go back after the video and seal it. So I got this rolling pin. I want to say this was also from Goodwill. Now I'm not really sure where this one came from. I'm going to go ahead and paint the handles black. I really thought this was cool because it was like a half a rolling pin. So it was technically supposed like to be for a decoration on your wall. So I thought that was really cool. Autumn Greetings, that little guy had to go. That was not going to work for me. Waverly chalk paint, hands down, is my favorite chalk paint. And then I also really like the chalk paint that is from Dollar General. I'm not sure exactly what that name brand is, but they only have like 2 different colors, which is a bummer. But that's where all of my black chalk paint comes from. decided to use a rub-on transfer. This one is from Amazon, and these ones I don't love, but they're so cute. They're kind of glossy, but they go on like stickers versus rub-on. So like the whole top piece is a sticker versus just being like one of those really like light, filmy papers. I'm not really sure what they're called. Now I'm just adding some cow spots to this because, I mean, look how cute they are. You can't deny that. And that is all I did for this one. This was more of a recent DIY that I did. I am using the color Celery to paint this Lazy Susan. I love this color too, so I take that back. I really like my black and whites, but when it comes to the celery color and the moss color, they're so great. But I really liked this one. I had to do 2 coats on this Lazy Susan. I didn't paint the bottom or anything like that because I wanted it to still be a Lazy Susan without painting and getting everything stuck and just all the things. So I don't really have to explain that, but that's definitely what I did. Didn't paint the bottom. This is a last year's Chalk Couture transfer, and of course I never use them. I kind of collect them more than I use them. So I buy a ton. I'm like, these are so cute. And then it's like the summer's over or the winter's over or Christmas is over, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I bought 500 of these and only used 12. So not that many. But I thought this was really cool. I liked the Lazy Susan. So really you could add whatever you want to this. You could take this out, have like a grilling party, add like your ketchup, mustard, pickles. Or I thought it'd be really cool if you turned it into like a little sub bar. So obviously this is kind of small, but if you just added all of your condiments in like tiny little dishes, I think that this would be so cute. You could have this in the center of a table and just kind of like rotate it. But yeah, hands down, I think this is one of my favorites and a different way to use a Lazy Susan. But you guys, that is it for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed this recap of some of my favorite thrifted DIYs for May. I know it is June, but I kind of just wanted to show you guys what I did in May if you missed any of the videos. But that is it. I will see you in the next one. Bye!